In this episode of 10 Best Ones, we are going to check out the top 5 best CPUs for gaming in 2018. I made this list based on my personal opinion, and I tried to list them based on their price, quality, durability and more. If you want to see the price and find out more information about these gaming CPUs, you can check out the links down in the description and the comment section below. Okay, so, let's get started with the video. At number 5, we have the Intel Core i5-8400. The Intel Core i5-8400 is a 6-core processor that utilizes blazing fast processing capabilities for a price that is affordable for most of the users. Before we dive deeper into the discussion, I'd like to inform you that this processor is only compatible with motherboards that are based on the Intel 300 series chipsets. That's why, take this info in mind, especially if you want to build your own rig, and have this processor as a founding base for your setup. This is because the Coffee Lake-based 8th generation core processors use the LGA1151 socket as the 7th generation, and they are not interchangeable. The processor's specs are pretty good for the price, or to be more precise, this processor has a native boost clock speed of 3.70 GHz, but you can increase it up to 4.70 GHz if you turbo boost it. This is really cool because the processing tasks will be greatly improved, regardless if you're gaming or working with programs. Since I've mentioned the multitasking and gaming benefits, I'd like to inform you that this processor uses the Intel threading technology, which delivers up to 12-way multitasking support. This is awesome, because your gameplay as well as the productivity will have a significant boost in performance, so you will instantly notice the difference, and feel that your gameplay will be a lot smoother and fluid. Moreover, if you work with Photoshop and similar programs, I'd like to mention that this CPU has maybe the best-in-class performance, but if we compare it with the Ryzen 5 1600X, which is pricier, the Intel falls a bit short in performance. The i5-8400 comes with an integrated Intel UHD Graphics 630 chipset that can output 4K visuals through your motherboard's DisplayPort and HDMI ports. Or even better said, if you connect the processor to a DisplayPort-enabled monitor, the graphics card can produce a 4096 by 2304 resolution at 60 Hz. To conclude, the Intel Core i5-8400 would be an ideal choice if you're looking for a quality Intel processor that offers a great value for its price tag. Moving on, at number 4, we have the AMD Ryzen 7 2700. The AMD, with their latest processors and graphics card, have become a really tough competitor in the market. As a proof, we got the AMD Ryzen 7 2700X, which is continuously being purchased by customers in the market. What are the benefits of having it in your PC? Well, let's get started and find out. The Ryzen 7 2700X has an 8-core and 16-thread configuration as its predecessor, but where it differs is the processing speed of GHz, which can be overclocked to up to 4.3 GHz. In addition, thanks to the Ryzen's 2nd generation Zen Plus architecture, this processor brings noticeable reductions in the L1, L2, and L3 cache latencies, or 13, 34, and 16 respectively in percentage. According to the AMD, the Zen Plus architecture gives a boost of 3% in the IPC throughput as well, so I think that AMD has crafted a really cool processor. But what got my attention is the presence of the Wraith Prism cooler, which has an LED color control as well as the AMD's new Storami technology, which is very useful. To be more precise, the Storami technology will let you have a really quick access to all of your files and programs, so if your PC has an SSD and a hard drive, then this technology will enhance the performance even more. On the other side, the Wraith Prism LED cooler packs 4 copper heat pipes, switchable fan profiles, 3 RGB zones and a very quiet output, so you will barely notice any noise at all. I'd also want to inform you that the AMD Ryzen processors including this one, meet the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive recommended specifications, so you can taste the benefits of the virtual reality, and fully immerse yourself in every game you want to play. Before we end, I'd like to inform you that the gamers who've been using this processor claim that this processor comes really close to the performance of the Intel Core i7-8700K, so I have to say that I'm impressed with AMD, since they've done a fantastic job. To conclude, I highly recommend you consider this processor as your next purchase, because it gives a great value for its actual cost. Next stop, at number 3, we have the AMD Ryzen Threadripper 1920X. The AMD Ryzen Threadripper 1920X is a premium 12-core desktop processor that is surely one of the best, if not the best in its price range. However, take in mind that we are currently reviewing the 12-core processor, because you can find this processor as an 8-cored or 16-cored, with a price that is slightly higher or lower. Moving on, thanks to its 12 cores that operate at 3.5 GHz or 4 GHz frequencies, you won't have any troubles with streaming high-resolution content, compile and test scripts if you're a programmer, as well as rendering 3D scenes if you're a designer. AMD deserves my applaud here, because this processor is unbelievably powerful. However, this processor has a thermal design power of 180 watts, so you would have to look for an optional CPU liquid cooling solution, in order to maintain the chip's stability and heat at an optimal level. Moreover, I'd also want to inform you that the Threadripper processors support quad-channel memory configurations, so you will have a greater memory bandwidth, if you compare it with the dual-channel design. Another great thing about the Ryzen 1920X is that AMD has filled the processor with a total L1 cache of 1.125 MB, the L2 cache with 6 MB, and the L3 cache with 32 MB, with the intention to ensure that a large amount of data can be transmitted quickly between the cores and the drives. But that's not all. Since this processor is based upon the Zen architecture, it means that it delivers 52% more improvement in IPC throughput according to the manufacturer, so I think that you won't find any remark regarding the performance. Overall, the AMD Ryzen Threadripper 1920X would be a top option, if you're looking for a processor that is known for outplaying most of the processors in this price range. At number 2, we have the Intel Core i7-8700. The Intel Core i7-8700K is a 6-core processor that can handle the AMD pressure, and provide a glorious feedback in terms of the performance, even though it has fewer cores than the Ryzen. The i7-8700K, as I've stated previously, has 6 cores, 12 threads, and it produces higher frequencies than the AMD's Ryzen 7 processors, especially for gaming. To be more precise, according to the gamers, if you pair this processor with a GTX 1080 graphics card, then you can expect to have a better and consistent gameplay, if you compare it with the Ryzen 7 1700X. Before we dive deeper with our review, I'd like to inform you that Intel states that the 8th generation processors are only compatible with Intel 300 series motherboards, even though the 8th generation Coffee Lake CPUs use the same socket as the 6th and the 7th gen CPUs. The reason behind this is the electrical incompatibility with the Intel's 100 and 200 series motherboards. Moving on, the unit's chip has an unlocked feature that will let you overclock it, and get the best possible performance. Or to be more precise, the processor's native clock speed is 3.70 GHz, but thanks to the Intel Turbo Boost 2.0 technology, you can increase its performance to up to 4.7 GHz, and get up to 12 MB of cache memory. Moreover, thanks to the Intel's hyper-threading technology, you can enjoy the benefits of having a 12-way multitasking support. When it comes to the gaming, I'd like to mention that this processor has an integrated Intel UHD Graphics 630 card, which will let you play 4K UHD videos without any noticeable blur, and if you edit photos, for example, you will never find any issues. But of course, gaming requires a better graphics card, so if you pair it with GTX 1070 or 1080, you can have a quality, lag-free gameplay. Before we end, I'd like to inform you that the i7-8700K has an integrated memory controller that will drastically enhance the read and write performance, so it will create a higher memory bandwidth and lower latencies for your ultimate experience. To conclude, the Intel Core i7-8700K is worthy of considering, and if you ever decide to purchase it, you would never regret your decision. And finally, at number 1, we have the Intel Core i9-7920. The Intel Core i9-7920X is a real powerhouse, thanks to its 12 physical cores and 24 threads, that will elevate your gaming and user experience to a whole new level. Let's start first with the speed. Well, this processor has a 2.9 GHz base clock speed, which can be upgraded to 4.4 GHz with a turbo clock, so you can enjoy the distributed blazing fast performance. In addition, one of the most notable things about this processor is the 140 watt of thermal design power, the 16.5 MB of the L3 cache, and the quad-channel DDR4 2666 memory support, so when you combine these specs, you know that we are reviewing a real beast. Let's take the processing power aside for a minute, because there is something I'd like to mention, and that's the fact that this unit is compatible with motherboards that offer an LGA 2066 socket. Moving on, this processor is pretty useful for streaming 4K content, as well for VR gaming, video editing, 3D modeling, and of course, working with photographies or graphic design. Those who've been using this processor for VR, claim that they had a high frame rates during their gameplay, but the same is with the casual gameplay, just don't forget to pair it with a strong graphics card, in order to feel the best of every game you play. This is pretty good, due to the fact that, if you seek a better core performance, you can take an advantage of the Intel Turbo Boost Max Technology 3.0, and then, you can instantly feel the difference in the performance, regardless of what you're doing. However, take in mind that this unit doesn't come with an included heatsink or fan, so you would have to purchase one separately, in order to cool the processor properly, and avoid any undesirable moments, or problems with the performance. Moreover, the Intel Smart Cache offers a power-saving feature that will dynamically flush memory, whether you've been idle for some period of time, or maybe because you've demanded that, with the intention to ensure that the app will match with your demands. Overall, the Intel Core i9-7920X is maybe not the most affordable that you can find in the market, but if you check its specs closely, it means that if you purchase it once, you wouldn't have to do that again for a long period of time. Thanks for watching, I hope you liked this video. If this video was helpful to you, please remember to leave a like and subscribe to my channel to see more videos like this in the future, and if you have any questions related to these CPUs for gaming, you can leave a comment down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can.